My name is Lucas, and today we're going to have a webinar about how to use Beas Project Management module. In order to use the Project Management module, we first have to go here under Administration, here in Setup, Project, and we have some settings that we have to perform in order for it to work. The first thing that we have to do is to create some tasks and some cost types that will further be linked to a project template. So here under the task catalog, we can create the templates of the tasks that we are going to apply to our projects. So I have three examples here of tasks. I have one of them that is called customer requirements. I can double click it to access. And basically when we are creating a task for a project, we define an ID for the task. We can name the task in the way we want. Then we can select the types of the tasks, and we basically have three types. Most of the tasks will be associated to the type normal. There is a task that can receive transactions and documents directly linked to it. Or we could have a task of the type milestone. Milestone is like an approval step of the project, not a regular task. And then we could have tasks as main tasks. Main task is a group of tasks instead of a task in itself. So when we set the tasks as main tasks, we can link tasks to it and then have multiple tasks like a project step instead of having a task that can receive documents and transactions. After we set the type, we can associate a user as responsible for this task. And we can also set a status to this task. As you can see, the statuses can be created here under this button. And the statuses have a completion percentage linked to it. This completion percent is only informative. It's not calculated by the system, and you can create your own statuses by clicking here in New, by setting a status ID, a status description, and then associating the completion percentage that will be assigned to the project when you select this status. After we fill in the main informations for the task, we can set the scheduling of this task. We can set up here in how many work days we are going to perform the task and what is the budget for this task. In the bottom of this part, you can also see some settings for the Microsoft project. This is not used anymore. In the past, we had an integration function that could integrate our project management module to Microsoft project, but we don't have it anymore. So this is not necessary. Then if this is a milestone task, we can also link this to a milestone. We are going to see this in details later. Here under extended, we can link which documents or transactions we can create for this task. For example, we could create sales documents or purchase documents or work orders or work order times directly to the task to register how much time the employees have been working on the tasks. And this can consume the budget as well. This material check does not have any function in the moment. Then we can select if we wish to trigger configurations for product configurations in this task, and if we can create activities for this task or not. Let me create a new task here. I'm going to name it as task. Then I'll set this as normal. I'll set a status as open. We have to click here under entry checked for the icon to display properly. Then we can set up the timings for the task. I'm going to say that this will be a task that will be done in 5 days under a budget of 1,000. Then here under extended, I am going to select sales and order times. When we select order times, the fields in the right part of this screen will be mandatory. The fields are cost element, resources, and operation type. This is because when we want to create times for a specific project task, we have to create an operation. And this operation is automatically created by Beas when we create the project. But for this operation to be created, we must say what is the cost element that we want to link to this specific operation when we create the time receipts. So we can pick this up from the cost elements that we have created. The cost element, these cost elements in here are the standard cost elements that we can use for linking them to the calculation schemas. So here we can define our cost elements. We can have a cost element group, and then inside this cost element group, we define all the cost elements that we are going to use in the production process. And those are the same cost elements that will be available here in the task for linking them to the time received. So I'm going to select this as a production cost element. Then we can select which resource we want to link this to this operation. I'm going to select this person's resource. And what is the operation type? I'm going to select personal. This, as I said, is only necessary when we select order times. If you select any other options and you don't want to create order times, then you don't need to fill this up. And then we can add a memo that is some information for the task. Okay, this is when we create a regular task, but you could also have milestones and main tasks. So clicking here in New, I can set up a milestone, link this to milestone type. When we set this as a milestone, it does not require us to fill in an estimation of days to complete the task, because this will only be like an approval stage, not a task in which we are going to create documents or register times or even control the times. And when we set this as a milestone, we need to come here under milestone and set what is the milestone that we are going to associate to this task, because this can trigger a message for whoever needs to approve the project. So by clicking in here, we can create the milestones. We can click in New here under the milestones. Then we can set an ID and a description for the milestone. And when we do that, I have one already created in here. We can click here under New Message to create an approval message for this approval process. Beas already has this predefined. So for example, if we click on New Message, we have just to set the event ID and the event description, but the milestone data come already pre-filled. And those are the buttons that we have to accept this milestone, and this is the event that the milestone will trigger. You can also access the milestones master data from here under production. Then here, just below project, you have milestones. And here you can access your milestone master data, and you can also see which milestones have already been triggered. So you just create your milestones here, and then you can select what is the milestone that will be used to approve this task in a project. The milestone have a specific icon. And then we can have the third type of tasks, that is the main task. The main task, as I said before, is a group of tasks instead of being a task in its own. And then when we create the tasks as main task, you can see that the tab that we have in here at side of master data changed the name. So when we create a regular task like this one, we have this tab here as budget. When we have this as budget, we can come here and insert new budgets for this task. The budgets are linked to project cost types, and we can create more project cost types by clicking here in this button, project cost types. We create all the cost types that we wish to have for production in here. We can click in New. Then we can set an ID and a description for the cost type, and we can select what types of costs we wish this cost type to collect. For example, if I wish to get values from purchases to associate these purchases values to my project, I can create a cost type called purchase. And then I can click under the purchase documents for it to select the values that we are going to collect to associate to the project. Or let's say that instead of purchases, I want it to register the values of order times. Then for that, we can click here under order times instead of purchases. And we can also specify which cost elements we want it to get value from. For example, we can get value only from specific cost elements, not from all the cost elements. Let's say that I only wish to get the costs linked to quality management. So I click in here and I will only read cost values from the order times that are linked to this specific cost element for quality management, not all the other values for the other cost elements. And we could also have costs linked to external production and also to material issues. So let's say that we wish to track how much materials we are consuming for production in a specific project. So instead of selecting the other options, we can just click here in under issues, and we can also read issues linked to a specific account, not to all the accounts, and we can select the account in here. So we basically create all the cost types that we wish to have for the project, and then we can create the budgets. So this is a task that will be done, for example, by sales personnel that have to get in contact to the customer. They have 5 days for this and they have a budget of 1,000. So I can basically come in here and say that I'm going to link this task to the sales department and link this to a 5 days and budget of 1,000. We can have more than one lines in here. So for example, these 5 days are not only for the sales department. We have 4 days for the sales department and 1 day for the research and development department. So we can just add a new line, add the research and development department, and then divide this in the way we want. And then instead of having only one budget for this task, we can break this under how many budgets we want. And when we set the type of the task as main task instead of normal, instead of having budget in here, we have tasks. So we cannot set a budget, let's say a specific budget in the way we did for the normal task for the main task. And instead, we have to create tasks inside it. So I'm going to create a subtask in here to show how it works. And this is how it works. So basically, I have the main task, and inside it, I have another task. I could even have subtask 2. And now I have 2 subtasks inside my main task. You can use the main task to create some groups for your project tasks and organize it in a better way. Let's say that you wish to control all the tasks per department. So you have a group of tasks for the sales department, a group of tasks for the research and development department, then a group of tasks for the production department. And you can create main tasks for the departments, and in the tasks you can create all the tasks that each department have to perform. Or you can create main tasks to organize your project in steps and having all the subtasks that have to be done in each step. Okay, so this is the most basic master data you have to do to create your projects. Here we also have, as we have seen, the project cost types. The cost types are linked to each one of the tasks inside the task catalog. And then the last master data we have to do is the project template. The template is a combination of tasks that will effectively build your project. I have an example in here. So when we create a project template, we click here in New, and then we fill in an ID, a description, and we fill in which item we want to represent the project in a work order. This is basically a non-stock item. I have one here called project. I have it as project here. This is a non-stock item. I can come to its master data to show how it is. I just have it as non-inventory. And then we select the production types that we wish to link to the work orders. This is basically just to visually identify which orders are linked to projects. So here under the production types, We can create all the production types we wish, and I have one here for projects. We need this to be linked to project order, and then we can link a specific icon to this production type to visually differentiate the orders that belongs to project from the normal orders. Because when we create a project using the project management model, it automatically creates a work order to represent that project. Even though you might add more work orders to the project to produce the goods, one work order will represent the project with all the operations that will be used to get the times for the tasks you wish to track order times. So I have here my project template called demo. I have linked this to the item project, production type project. You can select in which path you wish to save your attachments. And then here under tasks, you can select all the tasks that you wish to associate to the project. You don't need to have a, here as I showed here in the task catalog, here under setup, project, here, task catalog. As you can see, I have much more tasks here under the project template than I have in the task catalog. It's not mandatory to create the task catalog for you to be able to create the tasks in the project. And you can also associate one task from the task catalog to multiple tasks in the project template. What the task catalog does is that it makes it easier for you to fill in the tasks that you have to do. Let's say that you have the same task in several different projects, in several different templates. So instead of having to fill it manually one by one, you can just select the tasks from the task catalog. But you could also create tasks here inside your project template without needing to create them on the task catalog. When you wish to create more tasks for the project template, you just click here in New. And then the position number will be automatically calculated based on how much tasks you have already done. And you can select which tasks from the task catalog you want to link to this specific project task. Let's say I wish to create the task that we set as main task. So we just click on it, and it will prefill the task according to what we have selected. So we have it all according to what we selected for the main task. Or let's say that instead of the main task, I wish the task. Then it's already filled according to what we have selected. But we could also create a task without selecting any task catalog at all. Then we just do it in the same way we did to create the tasks in the task catalog. When we set this as order times, this shows up as mandatory. When we don't set, then we don't have to fill that fields. And then we can add our tasks. We can reorganize the tasks. For example, let's say that this task, instead of being the last one, I wish it to be before delivery. So I can just move it, and then we can save the sorting. So it remains in that way. Now let me just delete this task here. Okay, now we have our project template completed. You can create as many tasks as you want. You can also create main tasks and create subtasks inside the main tasks. And you can also define specific icons for the tasks. Let's say this task here I have called delivery, and I wish to set up an icon that makes it easier to understand what it is. So I can come here and I can select a different icon for it, for me to visually identify what is this task. I could set it as a truck, for example, and then I would see this in a different way. Okay, so we have completed our master data for the project management module. Now we can create our projects. We come here under production, project, and they click on new. Or we can open up the projects that we have created already. So I'm going to click on new. We have to define a project ID. And we need to select a customer. All the projects need to be linked to a customer. And we have to select a template from our project templates. The templates are mandatory to create. And we update. And this will create the project and the work order that represents the project for us. Okay, here it is. So this is the project that has been created according to what we defined in the project template. And besides creating a project, if we come here under the work orders list, we can see that we have a work order for this project. Going inside the work order, we have the item that we selected, the non-stock item, and we have operations to represent the project tasks. As you can see, I have one operation for each one of my tasks. This will make it easier for me to track the timing to complete this project, and also we can schedule this project in APS to know when we can complete each one of the tasks. The time set to each one of the tasks depends on what we have set up on the project. So if we come here under the tasks, we can see the amount of days that we set up for each one of them. And this is represented here in the times set to the tasks. And this only happened because for each one of the tasks, I have selected the option order times. If you don't select order times, let me show you for the other ones as well. So all of them have order times. If you don't select order times, then you're not going to have the operations in here. If you wish to be able to schedule your project on APS or to see it in a graphical view, you have to select order times. So the project is created, and as you can see, the dates are not properly set yet. If you wish the project module to recalculate the dates, you have to come here and you have to plan your project for certain dates. For example, I set that it had to start on June 20th. And then based on the work days that I have set here, it's selected that I have to finish this until July 1st. Then I update. Then I can schedule the next task. There is this one, and I can select that this next task have to start in July 1st or in each date that we want, let's say July the 2nd. And then based on the amount of work days, this will finish on this specific date. So after you create the project, you have to schedule the tasks to have the dates in here. But you can also schedule the project based on the dates that you have here in the work order. And something is important to say that the dates you have here on the work order are not necessarily the same dates that you have here in the project. If you change the dates here in the project, this will not be reflected in the dates that you have in the scheduling of the operations. And if you schedule this project on APS, this will not be reflected here in the project master data. Okay, those are different data. This, for example, the dates that you set here in each one of the project tasks, this is mainly for information only. And if you wish to be able to schedule the project and also to control the occupation of your capacity, you have to consider the dates that are set in here. So we can create the tasks here, set them all in the same way as we did in the task catalog. So basically selecting the documents that we can create and the transactions that we can trigger for each one of the tasks. But here you can see that we have more tabs. So once we select, for example, that we wish to create work orders, we are going to see work orders list. And this will show up all the work orders that have been created for this project. We can also see the time receipts. If we select order times, we can create time receipts for the tasks, and the time receipts can be checked in here. Also, if we have defined budgets, we can track the budgets in here. And besides of seeing only the budget value, we can also see how much has been reported for this task up to this moment. We can also check here the scheduling of the project task. And if we have already created time receipts, we can check all the time receipts in here. Also, we can link attachments to each one of the tasks. And if we select that we can have activities, we can check the activities tab in here. So, okay, we have our project. Now, let's say that we wish to have a view of the complete budget for that project. So we have defined budgets for each one of the tasks, and I wish to see the complete budget for that project. We can come here under budget and see an overview of all the budgets that I have set for each one of the tasks. As you can see, I have defined 5 different cost types linked to different project tasks. For example, if we come here into materials purchase, you can see that I have set a purchase cost type linked to a 25,000 budget. Then if you come at production, you can see that I have set an issues cost type. So I'm basically tracking how much I'm purchasing for the project, and I also track how much I'm consuming for production for that project. Here you can also have an overview of all the project tasks and activities and purchases created for the project and sales documents created for the project as well. Let's say that you have a customer that wish to compare the budget to how much have been sold for that project and also have differences between costs and incomes for that project. You can also track the sales documents in here. Then if you wish, you can create service calls or service contracts for this project as well. Also, you can link attachments and you can see here an overview of all the work orders created for that project. Now, before doing any activity into the project, let's say that we wish to schedule this project to know effectively when we can perform each one of the project tasks. So we have to come into APS. And here in APS, we have to select the resources that are linked to the project operations. So this is the resource that I have used. And when we click on view, we can have a list of all our projects here, and clicking in calculate, Beas will perform the scheduling for all the projects. So now I know that the project that I have just created, project 7, will start today and will finish in October. Clicking on Gantt, we can see the graphic representing the execution of the complete project. So you see here the project and all the project tasks. And moving forward in the timeline, I can see when I will start it. So this is the date of today. I'll start by gathering customer requirements. Then after finishing customer requirements, we are going to make a project specification, then prototype design, then sales quotation. After sales quotation, we have an approval stage. After approving the project, we create a work order, then we purchase materials, then we send the materials to production, then we deliver the items to the customer, and this ends the project. So we can see here when we start, and we can see when we finish in this timeline. And we can see each one of the tasks as well. We can also see when our resources are going to be occupied by viewing the resource monitor. This is when I'm going to use the resources for the project. And we can also see how much we are using from the resources capacities. So this is my person's capacities. This is my person's capacities, this dashed box, and this is how much we are using. This light blue part is what we are using for the selected operation, and this dark blue part is what we are using for all the operations. We can, of course, instead of using only one resource, we can create resources for each one of the departments. So I have one resource for all the department that is called persons, but we could have one resource for the sales department, another one for the research and development department, and so on. So we can have a better balance of the capacities of each one of the departments. So now that we have scheduled our project, if we open it up again, let me just finish here, APS. If we open it up again and then we navigate into the work orders list, here, let me just open it in a different way. Let me come from here. And we open up the project in here. We can see the current scheduling, detailing the dates that each one of the departments have to work on its task. Let's say that I wish to know which project tasks will this resource be doing. So I can come into the resource. Here I have here the operation. I can come into the resource, the person's resource. And by clicking in dispatches, I can see what is planned for this resource. So let's say that this is my sales department and I wish to know in which tasks the sales department will be working. And then I can see the tasks linked to the sales department in here and when the tasks have to be performed. So basically, if we have one resource for each one of the departments, we can have the scheduling for each one of the departments in this way. Then if you wish to know, let's say, what are the activities for your research and development departments, you can just go inside the research and development resource, go into dispatches, and you can see the list of the tasks that this department will have to perform according to all the projects linked to it. Also, coming here into the project tasks, and clicking here in the scheduling, we can see when this task is scheduled according to what we have defined here in the operation. So this task is the work order creation, and we can see here the dates in scheduling. We can see the dates that we have scheduled for this specific operation linked to this task. So it starts on August 5th and it finished on August 6th. If we come here into materials purchase, for example, we can see in scheduling all the dates that we have, all the days that we have scheduled for this specific task. We can also see if we have an entire day or only part of the day. So we have, for example, 0.1 day here, and we have 0.9 days here. And for all the other days, it's a complete day. So even though scheduling the project on APS does not change the dates planned for the activity in here, you can still see the scheduling for the operation in here. And after we have scheduled a project, we can start creating the transactions for this project. So the first thing that I have to do is to gather the customer requirements. This is an activity that my sales department will do. And to register the times for this operation, we can right-click and click on here, order times enter. By doing it, we can create a time receipt for this activity. So when we do a customer requirements meeting, the sales department will come here, identificate itself, and then say in which day the meeting happened, in which days the meeting happened. For example, today I have a meeting from 10 to 16. So I had 360 minutes of meeting, and then I can say if this is a partial or complete activity for this task. I'm going to say that this was partial because I have more days of work. So I'm going to create this as a partial receipt. This will be linked to my task. If I right click and select order times, I can see that I have already registered a time for this task. If I go inside the task, I can see also here in time receipts what I have done for this task. And we can also see how much we have consumed from our budget. By coming here into budget, we can see the budgets that we have for each one of the departments. And if we click on calculate, Beas will check how much we have already consumed from the budgets. So we have a budget for the sales department, we have registered times, and then we consume part of the budget. So we have here some times for already registered for the sales department that represented 1,800. If we wish the sales and research and department persons to register the times using the terminals, for example, instead of having to go inside the project, this can also be done. We just have to come here and print the project order. Because the project tasks are operations, like the production operations, then all the project tasks comes as printed in here with barcodes. And then we can go into the terminals. Come into the login function and read the barcode. So let's say that I wish to register the time that I was in meeting with the customer. I can come here, read the barcode, and start the meeting. So I can do this when I am starting the meeting. We can also use the web apps for that. So let's say that you can have a web server from which the sales representative can log in and register their times on their phones when they are going into a meeting with the customer. And using here the functions to register time receipts, for example, work order login and log off, the sales representative can, from their phone, for example, start and finish the tasks. So I can log in into a specific task, or I can log off for the tasks. Let's say that I'm going to do now a project specification. I can search for the barcode in here, and now I have logged in into this operation. Now, if I come here into the work order in Beas, so I have two operations logged in. I have project specification and also customer's requirement. Then if you have the web server, you can have the sales representatives or the research and development department accessing the operations on their phones, logging in into their tasks when they are going to start a meeting or start working on the project. And then from the web, they can just read the barcode again to finish the work. So I'm going to finish this one. Okay, now I have the times calculated according to how much time I spent on this task, and I'm going to complete it. So now what we have here in the project is a time receipt for this second operation and 2 time receipts for the first operation. And coming here in the budget and calculating it again, we have now this amount of values consumed in the budgets. Now, besides creating order times, we can also create documents from the project. We can, for example, create a sales quotation. including the product that we are going to sell to the customer. So we can create a sales quotation in here. And from here, we can select the customer. Then I'll select the item that I am selling, the quantities, and I have to link the project here and also the project activity. If we don't link the activity, this is not going to consume the budget properly. Of course, the sales quotation is not going to consume the budget, but if you create a purchase document or a materials issue or any other transaction for the project without linking the activity, this will not consume the budget properly. I'm going to link this to the sales quotation activity. And then I'm going to add my sales quote. Okay. And when we come here into the project, reload, open this up, we are going to have a sales quotation in here, and we can also see this in the sales overview. Now let's say that when we are doing the project, we need to get parameters from the item that we are selling to the customer, and we need to trigger a product configuration to set up the project, the item that we are going to sell to this customer. So when we are doing an activity that requires us to design the product, we can link the type of transaction here in extended as configurator, and by right-clicking the task, we can open up a new configuration. Now we just have to select the item we wish to configure and click on configuration. Then we can select all the parameters we wish for that item. Now we have the results, the price, all the definitions we can update. This will create a variant number for us. Okay. Now, opening this up, we can see that we have a configuration. And then we are selling new documents or new items for this customer. Let's say that we can go inside the existing quotation and even create a new one, or even create a sales order. I'm going to select the item that I configured. Okay, now the quantity that we have done, we can, for example, right-click, click in configuration new, and then load the existing configuration that we have already done, like this one here. And this will get all the parameters that we have set on the prototype design. We just have to click in here in OK. And this will transfer the price and everything to the sales order. Then we just link this to the project. Link this to the sales quotation task. And then now we have two sales documents linked to this task. Now we have a project approval process. This approval process is linked to a milestone. And I need to trigger a message from this milestone to request approval. Since we have already configured the milestone, what we need to do now is that we need to come here into the Beas server. Then on the planned activities, we have to select Trigger Daily Event. The Trigger Daily Event task is what triggers the activities that we have linked to the milestones. So here under the execution script, this is preset by Beas. This is what you have when you install Beas. We have this Trigger Daily Event already created. This will look up for all the milestone events and create all the milestone messages asking for a decision from the persons that have to approve the project. And you can see an overview of all the messages related to project approval in database test. Clicking here in data check, you are going to receive a summary of messages. This can pop up automatically when there is an approval needed, but if I want to check the existing approvals that I have not taken decision yet, I can come here into the data check and then I can take a decision. After that step, we need to create a work order for this project. When we are creating work orders for projects, we can do it from here, or we can do it directly from the work order screen. It is important to select the project here and also select the task for it to be properly linked to this project. And then we can create the positions. Now let's say that we are going to create a work order for the item that we have configured. So I'm going to select the item here. Also select the configuration number. This one. I'm going to produce one and I'll add this. And now we have another work order linked to the project, linked to this task called work order creation. We have the work order in here, and if we come into work orders list, we can see all the work orders that we have linked to this project. Now, after sending the item to production, we need to purchase materials. We can run the MRP calculation to know what we have to purchase, and from that trigger the purchases. Or we can create purchase documents directly. We can do it by right-clicking here on the task as well. We can create a purchase order, or we can do the purchase orders directly from the purchase module. Let me select this vendor. Then I'll purchase some steel for my product. I'll link this to my project and to the project activity, materials purchase. Add the purchase document. And when I come to the project, I open up here materials purchase. I can see that I have a purchase order created for the project. I can also see it here under the project overview, and coming here into the budget, we can recalculate it. And then I have here the purchases as well. Basically, this is how to work with the project module in Beas. So now let's finish the session. Have a good day, everyone. Bye.